Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the On Their Way Up podcast. My name is Spencer Gordman. I'm a stand up comedian, and today I am joined by an incredibly special guest. He's a 17-year-old snowboarding phenom from Australia. He's competed in the World Cup, World Championships, the X Games. And that one competition called the 2022 Beijing Olympics, where he was the youngest athlete on Team Australia and he placed sixth in the half pipe, making him the youngest Aussie to get top 10 in Winter Olympic history. And just to pad the resume a little bit more, he has the world record for the tallest jump out of a half pipe, 24 feet from the top of it, which he did the day before his 16th birthday. This guy's a menace, and I'm super excited to have him on. Thank you for talking with me, Valentino Guseli.
Hey, Spencer, how are you?
Oh, just another fun day at 1 a.m, but I'm doing pretty good. You said it's been raining in Australia a lot. That kind of does that really just throw a wrench in all the snowboarding there, or what happens with that?
Yeah, fully. I don't know how much snow is going to be there when I get back to the snow. Hopefully it's not all gone.
So that actually is kind of a good jump into my first question. So I think people make the assumption that Australia is mostly just, beaches and desert. Yeah, exactly. And kangaroos hopping around. So how'd you get into snowboarding?
Well, I grew up in Canberra, and Canberra's like 2.5 hours away from the snowy mountains.
Okay.
So my parents were already snowboarding, and my mum's parents had skied since before she was even born. So I got taken to the snow when I was very young, and then got a snowboard and some clothes when I was 3.
Oh, nice. So, I mean, that is really young. But it seems like for skiing and snowboarding, that's kind of like the age that a lot of kids get started at.
Yeah, I'm hyped they started me that young.
So, was it mostly downhill, or when did you start doing more park stuff?
Yeah, well, I just started, and I pretty much had only just learned to walk. So it was like started walking on a snowboard, and then I've always thought jumping was pretty cool, and I saw older people jumping in the park and hitting rails and whatnot. And I guess I just gradually got into it and found little rocks to jump off as I got better and older, and then started hitting the park when I was probably about 5.
Wow.
And started competing around 6.
That's crazy. I mean, you literally, it did not take long for you to be like, oh, this is something I want to do all the time. So was there any...
I loved it from the start.
That's awesome. Was there any feature that you really were drawn towards? Was it like half pipe right off the bat, or was it other type of stuff?
Well, yeah, there was the half pipe in the snowies back then, so I definitely would go and ride the half pipe there, and just feel it out. And then there was the park too, and I rode everything really. I did racing a little bit.
Wow.
So yeah, just everything I could get into, I did.
So you said you got into competitions when you were 6?
Yeah.
That is crazy. So when was the first time that you realized you were good enough to where this could be more than just like a hobby and it could be something that you actually do professionally?
You know what? I can't really remember. I've had that kind of thought or mentality that that's what I wanted to do for such a long time. I can't remember when I actually realized that snowboarding was something that you could do as a job. But I'd imagine I was pretty hyped when I realized that, and yeah,
You're like,
I don't know, it's been my life.
That's so crazy. And I mean, and I highly recommend that people just go check out your snowboard highlights from anything. Just look you up on YouTube, and it definitely seems like you were pretty much born straight out of your mother's womb and onto a snowboard. Was there a moment when you realized that you were kind of winning a lot of competitions in your age group and you needed to kind of move up a little bit to the pros?
There was. I first went to America when I was 7 and competed in. Well, I'd already been winning the Australian races and the few competitions that they had in the park and the half pipe there. Like, I'd already been winning them for a couple years. So we went to America and Europe and did some more races and some more competitions. And at first, we didn't know a heap about the sport, so we didn't know how they were judging it. And I kind of got smashed pretty hard the first few comps over there, because there were other kids that were super talented and just killing it. But yeah, me and my dad figured it out fairly quickly, and then we came back the next year with a lot of training under our belt, and yeah, came out and started winning that stuff too.
I mean, it is so nuts that at like 6 years old or 7 years old, you're like, all right, I have out snowboarded an entire continent. Like, I need to move on.
Just for my age group.
Yeah, fine, but still, like that is wild. So
yeah.
through this whole time, like you said, your parents have snowboarded forever. So were they kind of your coaches for I assume they were your coaches in the beginning. And how has that changed or stayed the same since then?
Yeah, well, my dad's always been by my side when I've been riding. Since the first time I went overseas to snowboard, he was there, and there were lots of coaches along the way that we met and worked with, and they helped my dad learn as well. So he learned a lot about snowboarding just so he could keep helping me, which was pretty awesome of him. But yeah, so we just would travel together, find coaches, work with them, and then I started traveling without him around 4 years ago now. And then I've just been traveling with coaches and filmers sometimes, and yeah, but every time I have I'm not sure about something or need help, I'll call him and ask.
So that dynamic is still definitely there. Like, did it change in any other ways when you decided to, ditch dad at home?
Not really. It's all stayed pretty similar. It's just I try to channel as much as what he would say into what I think when I'm writing, because he's always been there for me and always known what to say. And even when it might not seem like the nicest thing, it's he's always told the truth, which I'm super grateful for.
Dude, a little bit of tough love goes a long way.
Yeah. 100%.
Believe me, my parents have for years been like, "Hey Spencer, that was not funny, like, at all." I'm like, "Shit, dude, I was just trying to tell a story at the dinner table. Like, you don't need to rail on me."
Yeah.
But
no, but it's good because you learn, and you learn what's good and what's not, because they tell you what's not when you don't do it. So it's really helpful.
Oh, 100%. Like, the people around you keeping you like on top of your stuff and keeping you in check. I was just talking to my girlfriend about this today. She told me that a joke was hacky, which means like essentially that it's not clever and that everybody has thought that and said that. And she was absolutely right. And then I rewrote it and she was like, that's some funny shit. And it totally helps. So when kind of fast forwarding a little bit, but you qualify for the Olympics. Did you expect to qualify? And what was kind of all the emotions behind that?
It was definitely a goal. And I really, it was something that I wanted to make happen more than anything for a while. So last year was my first year in World Cups, and World Cups is the competition, like there's the tour of them, and they are the Olympic qualifiers. So my first World Cup, I did better than I expected. I qualified first, and then didn't really film the run I wanted to, but got 8th, which is like almost enough. It's called fifth points, almost enough fifth points in itself to secure qualification for the Olympics.
Crazy.
But Then I did a couple more comps, didn't go as well, and then it was all put on this year before the Olympics to qualify because with COVID, lots of people couldn't travel from their countries to do World Cups, so they backdated the results that you need to qualify for a year. And I wasn't doing World Cups that year before, so it was a little bit of a disadvantage.
Right.
But yeah, I just knew that I had to do well in some of the World Cups before the Olympics this year. And the first one, I had one of the worst performances I've ever had. But, you know, I kind of needed that, and that helped me push forward and figure out how I could fix the way I was thinking and the way I was riding. And then the next few comps went well, and I qualified.
So when you have a bad comp, is that like you just are falling, or is it like the tricks are not good enough to get points that are able to compete with the people at the top of the leaderboard?
It's usually falling.
Okay.
Yeah, it's usually falling. So I crashed both my runs in that comp, and
Damn.
then I went back and kind of reflected on the way I was thinking and the way I was riding, and my run just wasn't set out that well, and I wasn't riding to strengths as much as I should have been, and I think I was a bit complacent.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, but then the next comp, it was my first Dew Tour, and it wasn't a World Cup qualifier, but it was one of the biggest comps of the season, and I ended up getting sixth in that, which was my best major competition result to date.
Wow.
Or to then.
Right. And where was that? Or which one was that?
That was in Copper Mountain, Colorado. It was the Dew Tour.
Dude, I love the Dew. I was just in Breckenridge, which is like right around the corner. Actually,
yeah, and that's where they used to have it.
Yeah, no, I used to go skiing like the week afterwards, and they still had all of the decorations up, and like the half pipe was absolutely massive. I definitely know that. I'm a huge like skiing and snowboarding fan. Like I watch the competitions every year, and Dew Tour is absolutely one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, it's pretty sick. Good energy with all the crowds and all the people.
Do you have a favorite competition or like a favorite place to snowboard competitively?
Larks is pretty awesome. There's one of the World Cups is called the Larks Open.
Yeah, in Switzerland, right?
Yeah, and it's probably the closest thing to my northern hemisphere home. Like I've been going there for 6 years, and I know heaps of people there, and just really have a connection to that place. So whenever I get to compete there is pretty awesome.
Have you ever done that? I think it's called Audi Nines, that like giant course.
Yeah.
Is that just the craziest shit ever?
That this year.
Like how wild is that compared to other ones?
Yeah, well, it's a bit different. Like it's a different format. It's kind of just a few days, and everyone's just sessioning and doing the most stylish and most hectic tricks they can think of. And it's not really like a judged thing. It's more of just like a fun week of shredding, and at the end there are winners, but it's a bit more laid back. But yeah, they make sick jumps and sick quarter pipe features and transitions and hits, and I really had a heap of FOMO last year when I didn't get into it. So this year, getting into it was a dream come true for sure.
Is there a certain format you prefer, like best 2 out of 3 runs, or more like a jam format?
You know what? I think all of them have their pros and cons, and I think whatever one comes around, I'll be excited to just go and shred my hardest and hopefully put down the best runs I can.
You know what? That's an answer that an agent would be very happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
So you qualify for the You qualify for the Olympics. You're 16 years old. You're the youngest person on Team Australia. What are the emotions, or how did the emotions change between the day you qualify and when you land in Beijing?
You know what? They stayed pretty similar. My eyes were just, or my eyes and my mind were set on just killing it there, and that's really all I wanted to do. I wanted to go and try and stamp my name on my sport and go on and put a show on for the people watching.
So then when you qualify for the finals, I assume the mentality is the same because you're like, I went out here to kill it, and now
Yeah,
same thing for this next one.
yeah. Well, it's like the big stage. Time to go hard and put my heart into what I'm doing and show people how much I love what I'm doing.
Okay, so this is like a really like nerdy question, kind of, but so during the championships of the half pipe, that whole thing with Ayumu Hirano and Scotty James, where they like gave Hirano a lower score on his second run. Like the American announcers were going crazy. I was going crazy. Was anybody else reacting?
Dude, like Scotty and Ayumu were boxing at the top of the course before they dropped in. They had that much beef because they wanted to win so bad.
Get out!
No, I'm just kidding. Nah, they weren't boxing. I'm just joking.
Dude, you could have convinced me.
Yeah,
Holy shit!
no, it was pretty sick. Like that level of snowboarding was insane, and I think either of them could have won. You know, because Scotty had the switchback 1260,
Right.
which it's one of the hardest tricks ever, and that helped with his variety. So there's like criteria for judging in snowboarding, and there's like variety, amplitude, trick difficulty, and execution.
Right.
And so Scotty's variety was probably better than Ayumu's because he spun all four directions.
I agree.
And then, but Ayumu's execution, trick difficulty, and amplitude were all insane.
Well, I mean,
he
didn't start with a triple cork?
Yeah, he went front triple 14, cap double 14, front double 12, back double 12, front double 14.
Jesus Christ. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the best run you've ever seen? Or both of those two? Is that like the best? Like,
you know what? Both of those runs are like the best runs ever done in snowboarding, and I think the Olympic finals was the biggest showing of half pipe snowboarding to ever happen so far.
I mean, Shaun White obviously being in the finals definitely helps get a draw, especially from the American side, and he just was such a big international superstar. But then everybody's like, if they're casual fans, they're like, who the hell are these guys out of like Japan and Australia?
Yeah.
Because then it's like, it's Scotty James and you, and then it's Ayumu and Yotu and
Yuto, Ruka.
Yeah, his little brothers.
Kaishu. Yeah, I have so much respect for all those guys. They're really like, they're my idols.
So when you go to something like the Olympics or you go to these big competitions, who have you been the most starstruck with that you're like, holy shit, I get to compete with this guy?
Ayumu.
Really?
Yeah, Ayumu, because like when you see him snowboard, like I was watching him snowboard earlier in the season, like before the Olympics. We're at some training camps together and stuff, and it's like you see the way he holds himself, and you see the way he snowboards, and there's not a bit of insecurity or fear or anything. He's just like, he's there, he's confident, he drops in like full speed, and he's just still, he's just relaxed, which I think it's beautiful, and it's something that very few people can do in any sport, is to see him that relaxed and show that little worry or fear or even emotion in general when they're doing what they're doing.
It's almost like robot. It's kind of like robotic, but then there is still so much
robotic for sure.
Like so much energy and passion coming out of it too. Like it's something else.
It's beautiful. Like, to me, it's beautiful, and I think the way anything can happen with Yumu and it doesn't phase him is something that I kind of aspire to be like. And I think when something goes right, there can definitely be a bit more hype. You know, I think it's great to let the energy out when you win something and whatnot. But the way he moves on from tough situations is really inspiring.
So, kind of when you were growing up and first learning how to snowboard, was there anybody who was a big inspiration on you?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Starley Sandbeck, Eero Ettala, Ayumu. I met him when I was 8, so
Get out.
Ayumu's always been there. There's Sean, there's Scotty, Tora Bright. She's always been a massive inspiration. She was the first Australian snowboarder to really do anything. So
Wow.
yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Also, Stolly Sandbeck is so much fun to watch. Like he's
So
another guy.
Stevie, hey.
He's another guy who I root for. Him and Mons Roisland.
Yeah, Mons is the man.
He's just, I mean, the energy coming out of that guy is
100%.
insane.
Yeah.
So being an Australian, would you call yourself do you think yourself as a half pipe specialist, or are you trying to branch out more?
Everything. I've always ridden everything, and I think something lots of people don't really know is that I ride slope style and big air as well.
Right.
So like after the Olympics, I came home for 2 weeks, and then I went back over to compete in some slopestyle World Cups, and I got my first World Cup podiums at those slopestyle events.
Wow.
So yeah, I've always ridden everything, and in snowboarding, typically most people specialize in one, but I want to try and make it or show that it's possible to be competitive in more than just one discipline.
Do you have a favorite of the three?
Well, half pipe is the scariest, but the most rewarding.
Okay.
Slopestyle is very it's a bit more laid back, and it's just fun. Like, you're up the top, and you definitely want to do well, and there's definitely risk involved, but it's just a little bit mellower and a little bit more of a controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then big air is just, I guess, a one jump, and the tricks are usually bigger in big air than in slopestyle, but it's similar to slopestyle. Like, you just you need to make sure you're landing on the landing of the jump and not too far back and not too far forward, and then you're usually pretty safe because you're landing with gravity, and it's a downhill landing, so you're not really copying too much impact.
Have you, because I had this happen tonight where my last joke bombed and I was like, son of a bitch. Are you ever on a slope style run and your last jump, you're not even doing something, you're doing like I mean, a 900 is still hard, but like, you do something simple and you fall on that. Have you ever had
And you
that
mess
happen?
it up. Yeah, I've had it happen in slopestyle. I've had it happen in half pipe. It's pretty heartbreaking.
But I mean, then it's just got to be so, like, you kind of just got to get back up and be like, I want to do another one to make sure that that's not the last thing I end on.
Yeah, well, it's definitely happened before, like crashing on your last trick of your last run, and it's like, damn. It happened at X Games, actually. I think like the run would have put me either in fourth or third, I'd say. But I just crashed the last trick, and I was so devoed because it's like it wasn't that hard of a trick for me, and yeah, but you kind of just have to move on and look to the next comp to try and redeem yourself.
Absolutely. Going a little bit back from the Olympics, this world record jump, there's a great video on YouTube of the whole process and then you actually doing the jump. So again, I encourage people to just watch all of your shit because it is incredible. Um, but you said that you've kind of wanted to break it for a long time, and it was always something like a goal of yours to just go as big as possible. So,
Yeah.
how much of snowboarding do you think is confidence versus just
Oh, dude, it's such a big amount. Like, people don't even understand how important it is to be confident when you're riding, especially in half pipe, because it's like it's so dangerous. It's easy to be very scared of what you're doing, but if you just push that aside and be confident with what you're doing, and your legs feel stronger when you're more confident, and your line is smoother, which keeps you more balanced when you're confident. So it's a big deal for sure.
and it's also just like when you're going that big, if there is any fear, like it will show itself and it'll take advantage of you.
Yeah, fully.
So
Fully.
obviously you've gone, I mean, pretty big in some of these competitions. It seemed like almost in the Olympics, like you and I forget which Hirano brother were just,
Kaishu.
yeah, you guys were just like trying to see who could go for the biggest like method air.
Yeah. Yeah, he got me on that. He got me on it for sure. But mine was switch. So
So you got him on difficulty. That's
yeah,
so funny.
a little bit.
So
Yeah.
did you notice a difference when you were, 24 feet up in the air versus 20? Like, is the difference in height noticeable, or is it when you're up there, it's all kind of the same?
It is for sure. It's like that one I did in Lux a couple years ago. It was like, damn, this is pretty high. Like, looking down, and instead of only seeing one wall of the half pipe, like you see the other wall, you see some people riding like to the right, to the left of you. You almost see like people further down the half pipe, just because the further you are away from something, the less you need to focus on something to see it.
Right.
So it was like, yeah, it's just you realize how much further away you are from the ground than other airs, and yeah.
Because remind me, how tall is a standard half pipe or a super pipe?
22 feet.
Wow, so you're 22 feet plus 24 feet. You're like 4.5 stories up in the air.
Yeah.
That's so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to pop off the wall or hit the deck from that high.
God no.
It wouldn't be good for business.
Yeah. that would be pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that's really interesting for me is kind of the like daily schedule and how a hobby or a profession or something like this can kind of wedge its way into it. So you're 17, you're in, I don't know what they call it in Australia, but high school for the US.
Yeah.
So
high school for Australia too.
okay. So what does a day or what does kind of your year look like with going to school and balancing that with snowboarding?
Well, I've recently stopped school. I finished what it's called we call it year 11. You guys call it grade 11. I finished year 11 a bit earlier this year, and then started year 12, and it got a bit too much, and it was kind of making it pretty difficult for me to continue progressing in snowboarding.
Okay.
With just less time to spend focused on what I want to do. So we ended up dropping it, and now I just have more time to focus on my riding, and so I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, it just, when I'm at the snow, I'll probably wake up around 6:30, have brekkie, have a shower, get ready, be out there by 9:30 maybe, and just get on the hill and start. If I'm training, just start working on whatever I need to work on, and if I'm working towards a comp, I'll look for the tricks that I want to get, and Just try and get myself in the best position possible for whatever I'm working towards. Sometimes I'm filming, so I'll just whoever I'm filming with, I'll link up with, and we'll go shred, and I'll just try and put down the best tricks I can, and ride with as much style as possible, and make things look nice, and try and inspire people to come shred.
When you train, do you have different locations that you'll train at within Australia or even within the world, depending on the season?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Wherever I am, I'll try and make the best with what's on offer.
Okay.
And in Australia, I'm usually training at Threadbow.
Okay.
They have the best parks in Australia, so I'll be riding there, and just putting in the hours, and it doesn't really feel like work, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's just play. I just go out there and play, and it's fun as.
And then kind of going back to school. So in the States, like kind of when you finish your 12th grade, you get like your high school degree, and then you can get like a 2-year college degree, 4-year college degree, and all that stuff. And each kind of degree, you can get more jobs or higher paying jobs or whatever. But is there any fear of like you didn't finish grade 12? So when your snowboarding career does end, when you're in your late 20s or even God willing into your 30s, is there any worry of like you didn't finish high school?
Not at all, because I can always go back.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I can go back, finish year 12, but in Australia, I don't know if it's the same in America, but once you get to 21, you can go to university anyway.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
See, U.S. schools,
So,
it's so competitive. So
yeah, for sure.
You kind of have to finish high school so you can do really anything with. Even most jobs, it's tough if you don't have a high school degree. But that's, and I guess you're probably like, best case scenario, you do this for a while, you make money doing it, and then you could even continue doing it. Maybe not writing as much professionally, but like coaching or
commentate or judge or coach. Yeah, there's lots of stuff I could do within snowboarding as a profession that would keep me fairly all right. So worst case, I could do that. But yeah, I'm hoping to just do as well as possible snowboarding and not have to worry about that.
I mean, absolutely. And I think the trajectory you're on, you should be fine for the rest of your life, and probably even your kids if you have any.
Cheers. I hope
so. So another thing that interests me is kind of creating like for stand up and for music, like you make like a set list of all the songs or the jokes you're gonna do. For something like a half pipe. Half pipe is kind of interesting to me because it is wide open. Like slope style, you're kind of a little bit more restricted based off of what different features they have. But
for sure.
On a half pipe, it's all wide open. So how do you decide? I guess making the set list or the list of tricks or whatever. How do you go about that process?
Yeah. Well, we call it a run, but I think when you're putting a run together, you want to work to your strengths. Like I have this written down in my phone. I look at it before every competition, and it says work to your strengths while figuring out a run that will be pleasing for the judges. So it basically means you're doing stuff and you want to have all 4 different directions of spinning. You want to have pretty hard tricks, like the hardest tricks you can do consistently. You want to go as big as possible, so you want to put it together in a way that you're going the biggest you can to get the best amplitude score that you can, and you want to have it together in a way that it's the easiest to execute all your tricks the right way and make it really clean and buttery.
Because obviously, if you're doing like a switch backside of something, you probably won't be able to go quite as big or spin quite as much as.
That's exactly right.
And then when you're kind of breaking it down, do you first go like obviously direction and then how fast you want to spin or how many degrees of rotation and then the grab, or how do you kind of go through compiling like what trick you want to do?
Yeah, well, I guess when you're at that kind of level, you know what you can do and you know what you want to work towards, and it's like there are steps that you can take to learn bigger and bigger tricks, but you kind of already know which grab suits you for different tricks, and then you can do some experimentation, if that's a word. I hope that's a word.
That's a word.
All right, good.
And even if
you
it's
can do
not, it
some
sounds good.
experimentation. It sounds like a word, so I don't know.
If my English teacher is looking at it or listening to this, I am so sorry that I don't know if that's a word or not.
Yeah,
me
too.
It's freaking like 1:40 in the morning for me, so just please be patient.
Yeah. Now, so you can just experiment with different grabs, and you want to do a grab that's not often seen with that kind of trick to get more points on it, because if it's not being done much, then it's probably difficult.
Yeah, and the judges will remember it and look back on it like to score it better.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's lots of things, but as you snowboard, you learn and you learn more and more and more, and I'm sure it's the same with comedy. Like there'd be the jokes at the start that you first start to come up with that they're probably on a lower level of funniness, and then you find out what actually makes people laugh and the kind of humor that people that like draws people in, and then you work on that and you work on coming up with stuff based around that.
What a
I guess that's like my I imagine that's how it works.
No, absolutely. And might I just say what a kind way to say that you suck balls when you start off, because that is the absolute truth.
Well, it's the same in snowboarding. Like you'll fall on your ass over and over again. It was lucky that I was still. We call them nappies in Australia. You guys call them diapers. But it was lucky that I was still in diapers when I was starting the ride, because I probably fell on my ass so much.
Yeah, but babies bounce, so it's like not a big deal.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, it's when you start off, I mean, it is really tough. And there's definitely a learning curve that some people get and some people don't. I'm sure with snowboarding you see the same thing. Like there's some people where it just doesn't click in their head how to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So then kind of looking forward, I guess. Or wait, one more question about the tricks and stuff. So when you decide that you want to learn a new trick, what is something that you look for? Like, is it, I want to be able to go 180 or 360 degrees more or get a new grab, or what are the kind of things that you'll work on and how will you go about working on that?
Yeah, well, there's all of them. But what I think really helps is if you're not sure about a new trick and you have the build, like the tricks that you'd use to build up. Like say you want to learn a backside 1080 and you can do a backside 7 and a backside 9. It's like you wanna just, if you're not sure yet, you keep working the back 7s, you keep working the back 9s, and then once they're at a point where you feel like you could just add another 180 on, then you can, and you can start trying it, and you probably won't land at first go, but it's all trial and error from there, and just looking around with your head a little bit more power on the takeoff, and yeah, so it's just you get the tricks that you use to build up to it, and you work on them and get them sweet, and then you're safe to try it.
And then so you posted on Instagram, and I don't know when this is gonna come out, but you posted on your Instagram a few days ago a video of you coming off a big air jump, and you asked like how many degrees rotation was that? I
I
can't
said
be I can't.
stick it to name the trick.
Okay, I don't know grabs very well, but I think I can count. Was that a 21?
No, it was an 18.
It was an 18?
I wish it
Okay.
was a 21. If that was a 21, then I'd be the first person in the world to do that.
I was like, there's no way. I thought that I was making something up because I was like, there's no way in hell that that was a 21. But I also could have believed that you just like learned that.
Yeah.
Like that wouldn't be out of the realm
Nah,
possibility.
well, it's just 360 more to it for a 21. So, I'm hoping to let that out soon.
Has somebody done a 19 in competition?
Yes. Actually. Oh, that's a hard one. I'm not sure. It might have happened at X Games. But
Yuki
it might
Kodono.
not have.
Yuki Kodono had a backside quad cork 1980.
19, yeah.
Oh, and then Andre Rigetti had one as well, apparently.
Yeah, Andre's a skier though.
Oh, that's true, I guess.
Yeah, Andre's a skier. Skiers spin a lot faster than snowboarders. Snowboarders flip faster. But
Interesting.
yeah, I think lots of people have done 19s. Like I know maybe 5 or 6 people that have done 19s.
Wow.
But I don't know if one's happened in a comp yet. And there's been one 2160 done on a snowboard.
That's so crazy. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite guys? Like when you guys go around to all these comps, I assume it's a lot of the same group, just kind of traveling around the world. Who are some of your favorite guys to hang out with?
Oh,
And I guess follow-up question, is it weird being as young as you are? Like I know for me doing stand-up, like I've been doing comedy for like 3.5 years and I'm still the youngest person in my hometown doing comedy.
yeah.
So you being that young, was it weird? And then who do you hang out with a lot?
Yeah, well, I see Scotty around a lot when we're traveling, and we have a Red Bull week on in the snowies next week that we're going to and stuff. But yeah, Scotty. Then there's the Hirano brothers who I see around a lot and sometimes go skate with and whatnot. They both kill it on a skateboard. Yumi got like 10th in the Tokyo Olympics for skating, I think.
Wow.
So
that dude can do anything on a board.
Oh, dude, he's amazing. He's insane. Jan Shearer, he lives very close to Larks, so I ride with him in Larks a lot. Same with David Hablutzel. They're both some Swiss shredders that just rip. I have a mate from Australia that I ride with as much as I can. His name's Jesse Parkinson. He's one of my best friends.
And then do the snowboarders and skiers ever hang out when you guys are traveling around?
100%. 100%, yeah.
And do you notice, like, is there a difference in, like, the vibe or the attitude between the skiers and the snowboarders, or is it all kind of the same?
You can sort of tell a little bit, but there are some skiers who are like, some of the chillest people you've ever met. So I think there's always been a little bit of like resentment from one group to another in all levels, but it's kind of just a piss take. Like it's not very serious, and
right.
We see all the skiers around, and we all know each other, and yeah, like I have heaps of good mates that are skiers, and we all just love shredding on the snow, so we're all the same.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, it must be just so much fun to hang out with everybody. And I'm sure you being, coming up and you're 15, 16 in these comps with these guys who are in their late 20s, like, was it
yeah,
weird was it
yeah,
weird at
definitely.
first, and has that ever changed?
A little bit. It's kind of just like I want to beat the old guys.
Yeah,
That's kind of how it feels like these guys have been my idols, but I just wanna 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 ride good, and it's almost like impress them in a way, like growing up watching them ride, and then you're riding against them. It's like, yeah,
dude, I totally get it. Like when you go up, like especially when you're super new in stand up, and you don't really know anybody, but you go up and you see these guys who have been doing it for 5, 10, 15 years just go up and murder. And then you go up with
yeah,
like your 2 minutes of like, I farted today. And I mean, it's just like all you want is their respect. And it kind of is a motivator to get better so you can
yeah,
be at their level.
yeah, for sure. Well, it's hard to. I feel like just like it's hard to drop in after someone that absolutely killed it. But then it's sort of inspiring at the same time. It's like it'd probably be hard to go up there after someone killed it and try and get the same, um, applause and whatnot.
It's scary, but it's a lot of fun to try to
Yeah,
ride that energy. Um,
yeah.
was there ever a moment where you kind of had that switch of like, oh, I don't really know anybody, and trying to gain their respect to like now I'm kind of one with the group?
I think like as soon as I got into it, I already knew lots of the guys that were in it. So it's like, and that only grew. So from the start, you like see the guys that you know, and you ride with them a bit, and then they'll introduce you to the other guys that you don't know yet, and then just meet more and more people, and um, you end up shredding with them through mutual friends, and um, yeah, so it's all pretty mellow. Like you just slowly learn your way around and learn the community, and um, yeah,
And I'm sure like when you reach a certain level where you're getting consistent top tens and they're seeing the tricks that you're landing, there's kind of like a respect, an inherent respect in that with kind of that group of guys.
yeah, for sure.
So then I guess last thing is what's coming up for you kind of this summer and into the rest of the like the North American winter. What's going on?
Yeah, well, I just had a couple competitions up in the mountains the last few days.
Yeah, I know. And
So,
by the way, does your neck ever get like tired from all the medals and shit?
oh, dude, I was making a joke about that the other day because there were two comps in one day, and I ended up winning both of them. But then they were supposed to be two different comps in one. Like so, for each comp there were two different comps.
Yeah.
So then there ended up being like four comps, and I got four medals. And then like walking off the podium, I was pretending that it was like weighing me down, just trying to like make a joke. But
Oh,
yeah, nah, I usually take them off pretty quick. So
that's so funny.
yeah, yeah,
So then, yeah, you got these in. I assume like southern hemisphere, like during your guys' winter, is most of the skiing or the snowboarding stuff done in Australia?
yeah. Well, there's Australia, New Zealand's pretty good, and there's some comps that I'll have in New Zealand in September.
Okay.
And they're fairly little ones. They're just like some fun comps. So I'll be going over there then, and then I'll be going to Europe or like Switzerland at the end of September. And then there's some training camps, and the first comp will be a scaffolding big air in Switzerland.
Awesome. And I assume the
Yeah.
the goals for this year kind of all the same as they always are. Just go big and
Yeah, man. Just go big, put on a show, and try and win everything.
dude, that is the attitude. And watching you ride, it is clear that that's the attitude. Is you just want to go as big as possible and really put on a spectacle. Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like,
Yeah. No, that's my goal.
yeah, because I mean, I think people forget like sports are entertainment, and so the whole thing
Oh,
is like
fully, dude.
you got to put on a show.
Entertain. Exactly.
All right, dude. This has been, I mean, to say it's been a treat is an understatement. This has been so amazing talking to you. Where can people find you on social media or YouTube, or essentially just where can they enjoy you and your content?
Yeah. Well, if you search me up on YouTube, there's some videos that'll pop up, no doubt. My Instagram is Valentino Guseli, no underscores or dots or anything. And then I have a TikTok, which I'm not very active on, but just a couple piss take videos,
Yes,
and
same
that's
with me.
Valentino.Guseli. So it's all pretty simple, but yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yep, and Guseli is Guseli. So go follow all of his stuff and just go check out videos and watch how insane this guy is. Even if you've never really watched skiing or snowboarding or anything like that, like once you see how fast he gets going, I mean it is incredible. Um, you follow me, Spencer_Gordman on TikTok and Instagram, or just my name on Facebook. And then the podcast is On Their Way Up. THEIR is how you spell there. For those of you who didn't graduate high school like Valentino, it's a big orange logo with white lettering. So subscribe wherever you're listening to this. Follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter for updates about when episodes are coming out and some clips as well. And yeah, I think that's all I got. Dude, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Spencer.
All
Have a good sleep for the rest of the morning.
right. Sounds good. And hopefully you're at least getting some rest on the rainy day off.
Yeah, nah, cheers.
All right.
It's been good talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you everybody for listening. Have a good rest of your day.